Friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. How are you? You look good, buddy. You lost some weight. Proud of you.
I feel 5 pounds lighter. What?
It's everyone's favorite thing in the universe. An Elixir fragrance, this time coming to us from Montblanc. That's right, they've given Legend the Elixir treatment and put it inside of a mirror bottle that collects fingerprints like I used to collect Pokemon cards when I was a kid. Where did all those go? They'd be worth so much. The new Legend Elixir. Very exciting, very exciting. I got this one from Europe. I'll have it linked in the description in case you want to check it out. I overpaid on shipping, but it's okay. Let's go ahead and scope out this box real quick, guys, and the bottle, and then I'll start talking to you about this new, beautiful, amazing, fantastic, unbelievable Elixir. I just can't believe it. It's all gold. Here's the box. On the front, the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size and concentration. It is a parfum concentration. Got the 100 ml size here. Nothing on the sides, nothing up top. On the back, just a very small amount of information. Then on the bottom, they put it all. Ingredients, badge code, barcode, anything you want to know. The badge code is a bit intense. It is CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival. What? Nice. But yeah, CCR 51R295. And here is the bottle. As I said, it is a fingerprint magnet. It looks rough, quick, and it reflects everything. In fact, I am staring at myself and I can see myself extremely clearly. It's basically a mirror. On the front, you have the name of the fragrance. You also have the Montblanc logo up top. On the cap, you have the logo on top. You also have the name around the cap. On the bottom, a sticker with your badge code, and the cap does click into place. Let's go ahead and do a couple sprays. There we go. Legend Elixir. It is foretold that every single fragrance house, every single fragrance line will have an Elixir sooner or later. I imagine that Explorer Elixir, honestly, is probably not that long away from today, but that doesn't matter right now. The only thing that matters is you, me, in this bottle. So how does it smell? Well, when you first spray this one on, it is gonna remind you a little bit of the classic Legend, which also is gonna remind you of Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce, which is also gonna remind you of Parfums Marley's Percival. So yeah, it's gonna remind you a little bit of those. It's gonna kind of put you in that headspace, but it doesn't open as fresh and as zingy and you know, kind of sweet and aromatic as those do. Instead, this one opens more like Legend after it's already started to dry down, and with a twist, of course, otherwise it wouldn't be the Elixir, right? So you're gonna get that lavender in here, not a huge amount of citrus. It has bergamot as a top note, but you're not gonna get a whole heck of a lot of that. You get a really faint, warm spiciness underneath. There's cardamom in here, there's pink pepper, but you don't get a whole heck of a lot of those either. You do get a little bit of cinnamon, not an overload, but a little bit off the top, even though officially that's, I think, a mid note. So yeah, essentially in the opening, it opens up like Legend has already been drying on your skin, and also it has a little more, as you would expect, deepness compared to the original Legend. It's not quite as zingy, lively, you know, classically eau de toilette-esque. Of course, this is a parfum, so that makes sense. But what I mean by that is it doesn't have quite the same zing off the top. It doesn't really capture the attention quite as much. It sits a little bit flatter to the skin, which happens a lot of times with these parfum concentrations. You know, they don't have that same kind of like explosive opening. That's happening here also. And I do have to say, the opening doesn't smell bad. And I know everybody, when somebody says that, you're like, ooh, it sounds not good. It doesn't smell bad, right? But it also does not, to me anyway, immediately grab your attention. And my mind goes back to Legend Red. Not that this smells like Legend Red, but when that one came out, it was, for the most part, really underwhelming because it was just kind of like a scent. And what I mean by that is, it just didn't really stick out. You know, it's fine, it exists. You know, people will smell it and be like, it's okay, you know? But it didn't have that X factor, you know, that kind of thing where you smell it and you just go like, oof. That is it. And in the opening, Kind of the same thing here for me. Again, doesn't smell like Legend Red, that's not what I'm saying, but what I am saying is it feels like it's phoned in. You know, you smell it and it's like, yeah, whatever. Is it clean? Sure. Does it throw back to the other Legend? Sure. Does it have more of a deep warmth underneath it? Sure. But it's just not really got that like opening where you smell it and you go, oof, I gotta spray this on again. You spray it on and you go, all right, fair enough. But that's just the opening. Let's see how it dries down. Okay, into the mid, this one actually has a pretty nice note breakdown. Actually, the whole note breakdown here is good because they gave us more than 3 notes. So that's a positive. In the mid, the thing that I focused on the most, just laser focused on, iris, because I love iris. I'm an iris freak. I realized that sounded like I just said an Irish freak, iris. The rest of the mid is cinnamon, pomarosa, and clary sage. And some of those, like the pomarosa, the clary sage, that kind of throws it back to the original Legend, but that iris is really what I was intrigued by. And I'm here to tell you, there is, to me, not that much iris in here. Now, to be fair, the fragrance does take on like a little bit of a creamy kind of aspect to it as you head through the mid. So you do get that, but it's not gonna be like a rich, developed, you know, creamy, classy, sexy iris note. You know, you're not gonna find anything remotely close to Dior Homme Intense, which of course, you know, you probably don't want that, but you're not gonna have that here. There is less iris in this fragrance to me than something like Le Male Parfum. It is just a filler note kind of in the background, and it's hard, frankly, to pick out. This is one of those fragrances where a lot of the notes just kind of like come together over me. They just come together and they just like, you know, blend to the point where when you smell it, you're like, oh, it's just there, a fragrance. You get a little bit of that aromatic feel that comes out, again, you know, throwing it back a little bit to the Legends of yore. But instead of coming across clearly like Legend or Fierce or Percival, this one is more like that DNA is kind of in the background a little bit. And then you just overall have, honestly, what smells like kind of an overdose of modern amberwoods. So they just kind of swallow everything up. You get a little bit of this like, you know, warm spice to an extent, but it just gets like, just absolutely caved in by those amber woody notes, you know, ambrifix and amber itself and everything else in the kitchen sink. And then after you head out of the mid into the dry down, that creamy kind of aspect, that fades away, that steps back. And it takes on more of like a clean white musk, ambroxany, ambrifix, amberwood kind of vibe, like modern woods, clean woods, whatever you want to call it. And this is another part that absolutely blows my freaking mind with this scent. Like legitimately, I'm kind of confused. Not in the sense of like, oh, it's so complex, but just the note breakdown, because you look at it and this is, I guess, the catch-22. You have some fragrances that will give you a 3-note note breakdown and they actually have decent complexity. And then you have this that has a pretty robust note breakdown. But then you smell it and you're like, what? What am I missing here? Because check this out in the base. Vanilla extract and vanilla absolute and rock rose, labdanum, and amber, and benzoin, and ambrifix. So the thought process when you read that is, well, they are including vanilla twice. Right? Vanilla absolute and vanilla extract. They're putting it on there 2 times, and labdanum and amber, right? Like, it's very clearly telling you, hey guys, you know all those vanilla bomb fragrances right now? Oh, we got something for you, baby. We about to blow your mind. So you're expecting vanilla, rich, deep, warm, sexy, sweet, all of that. And then you smell it and you're like, oh, somebody like fumbled with the amber woods and just dumped it in there and went, good enough. F it. Because unfortunately in the dry down, I really don't get very much vanilla here because I'm wearing it right now. I'm wearing the fragrance. I actually re-upped it over here like an hour before filming just to get that opening again, but there is really not much to this. Like once it does hit that dry down, it's safe. It's safe, don't get me wrong. It's not anything like difficult to wear. It's not anything off-putting. It's not weird or anything like that, but it's bland, man. It's white toast with nothing, not even butter, just plain white toast. That is it. And so you smell it and you're like, well, I mean, I can wear it, you know, it's possible I could do that. But do you want to? Probably not, with how many other things are out there, you know? So that's kind of how it hits me opening to dry down. Let's talk about performance. It is an elixir, it is a parfum, and it is not that strong. Yeah, unfortunately, as far as projection goes, like I kind of talked about with the opening, it doesn't really project that much. Even off the top, you know, the original Legend is gonna kind of grab more attention when you first spray it on. It sticks around an okay amount of time. So the parfum aspect, you know, it lingers, but it's not lingering with authority. It's just kind of subtle. So if you were expecting Legend Elixir to really just grab attention, it is not really doing that, at least not for me. And in terms of seasonality, it is a Legend at the end of the day. Maybe more like leaning toward evening use compared to the original, but it does have really good versatility. I'd say in terms of the best seasons, probably spring and fall, daytime or evening really. And if you wanted to, you could wear it during summer, just don't spray it on too heavily, and you could wear it during winter as well. Just spray it on more heavily then. Now, one of the tricks of Montblanc sleeve, which is actually not a trick at all, but they're cheap usually at discounters. So, you know, there are extra steps there, but they're pretty affordable once they hit discounters and the price starts to dip down. Now, that being said, I would not really want to pay too much for this just in general. It's not the type of elixir where you smell it and you go, oh, the quality here is just so much higher than the other ones. You know, there are some releases like that. There are some elixirs out there where you smell them and you bump it up against something else in the same line that's not an elixir and you go, I smell the difference. You know, the performance is ramped up, the quality is ramped up, it smells more unique, all of that stuff. None of that really holds true for this one for me. So, unfortunately, I don't think it's really worth a premium. You know, I feel like Legend Eau de Parfum is a better fragrance. That's a better bet for more people. Legend Blue, if you want a more easy wearing, summery, sweet take on the Legend DNA, you know, kind of close to Percival. Legend Blue, good. The original Legend, still, you know, same as it's ever been, right? Even Legend Spirit, if you want to rock with that Invictus Aqua scent profile, that one makes sense on the cheap because it's doing something different enough where you're like, okay, yeah, that has its own spot in the Legend lineup, right? This one for me is hanging out with Legend Red in the discount bin. This one, I think for a jacked up price, for an elixir price point, is a no-go for most people. Absolutely, if you like the brand, check it out. If you like the line, check it out. Sample it first, for sure. Don't overpay to get this thing in, because I think a lot of people will be disappointed. So let's hit just real quick the pros, the cons, the TLDW, too long didn't watch, which come on, don't have the goldfish brain, come on. The first pro, it has an actual note breakdown. For what that's worth, it does have an actual note breakdown. That's a pro. The second pro, the bottle is so reflective, you could style your hair in it if you had to. That's very important. Third pro, it is versatile. You can wear this in a lot of situations. It doesn't have anything that's gonna turn people off. I think that's pretty much, oh, and the last pro, it should be cheap in the future. That's a good pro. The cons. The note breakdown, while full, doesn't really actually convey how this smells. Iris, not a whole heck of a lot of it, just a little bit of a creamy touch in there through the mid. Vanilla ×2, not a whole heck of a lot of that either. The notes promise one thing, the fragrance delivers another. Another con, the performance, not that good, especially when you consider this is an elixir. I wore this thing for like a week straight, trying to figure out what is going on here. I compared it to other fragrances, completely separate lines, and it got destroyed time and again as far as which one was stronger off my skin. That could just be me, but as far as elixirs go, this one doesn't feel very strong. Another con, it is kind of forgettable. Just nothing really unique here. Doesn't grab the attention right away, doesn't grab the attention in the dry down. And another con, while it will be cheap, I think, in the future, right now, it's gonna be the most expensive Montblanc Legend that you can get, and at that price, it's not worth it. So there we go, Legend Elixir. If you were looking forward to it like me, sorry. But try it out, you know, if you see it in a store, give it a spray, give it some wear. I just think that for an Elixir release, which I know a lot of people are sick of that, but for an Elixir release, it just doesn't get the job done. Because the idea that I think most people will agree on is the Elixir version is supposed to be like putting your best foot forward. It's supposed to be like showing off what that line can be. And coming at us with this one, it feels like they just kind of phoned it in, like I said before. So there we go, Legend of Elixir. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, take care of yourselves. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.